What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Renaissance Rooms podcast. I can't even get my words out. I'm so freaking excited right now for the moment that just happened in the day. And this entire year has been so crazy. I've been crying so much lately, but it feels so good to release. So I just highly encourage anyone, if you're not a crier, you need to really tap into your feelings and let it out. Cry. Okay. I was someone who never really used to cry. I was taught literally not to cry. I tell you guys all the time, my dad raised me to be a boy. I kid when I say that. I say that lightly, right? He just wanted me to be strong, of course. That's what dads do. I think sometimes we kind of forget that. I give my dad so much grace because fathers are disciplinarians, and I probably wouldn't be as hardworking if it wasn't for now. And speaking of, for a quick moment, I kind of want to touch on Lauryn Hill's daughter coming on live, just trying to express herself. I really did not appreciate that. Because first of all, I think we have to realize just the impact that Lauryn Hill has had on the Black community with her art and just many of different people, millions of different people, the lives she's touched, her legacy, and just being this beautiful, graceful, God-fearing woman. I think that sometimes with this generation, we kind of overdo it in regards to self-expression, and we come online and we don't realize just the dangers of kind of deformation of character and how long it actually takes to really build a sustainable sense of reputation. Reputation is currency, you know what I mean? A good name literally opens the doors, honey. That is in Proverbs. And I think that we just kind of have to be mindful of that when we come online and we talk about our parents. Who knows what Lauryn Hill went through? I mean, to be honest, we all have heard certain things about music industries, whatever. But I think that it wasn't a cool thing to do. I wasn't here for it. And honestly, she didn't receive the level of attention that she wanted from that post. I've seen a lot of people were just okay, everyone's parents, have gone through these things. And so I think that says a lot from a spiritual connection, from a spiritual standpoint. Sometimes we come online and we say certain things and we're not met with the attention and affection or whatever it is that we're looking for because energetically we're not in the right space and our intentions aren't pure. So I think we just have to be mindful of that when we come online and we want to share our stories and talk about our parents. I'm definitely not here to negate anyone or anything. I was listening to Jeanette McCurdy on Red Table Talk, and I feel like she made a lot of valid points about her mom and just everything. So I'm never really here to take away from those experiences. But as I get older and I really just take the time to sit and wrap my young mind right around the time, the era, and just the world, and just kind of perceive it from that perspective, the perspective of my parents, everything that they had to overcome. My parents grew up in an era where they were coming out of the crack epidemic, the crack that was poured into our communities. And then on top of that, that was the rise of hip hop. So that was the division of family. They were seeing people dropping left and right. I mean, dead bodies popping up in the streets. This was the rise of police brutality. It was the Rodney King era. It was just a whole lot of stuff going on. And so I think for me, again, we talk about mass incarceration and wrongful incarceration. I mean, dudes were literally getting locked up for selling weed who are still probably incarcerated. Shout out to Biden. I know he's been doing some work, and there are a lot of people who have kind of worked to get some of our brothers and some other people who may be imprisoned and were incarcerated for selling drugs, selling weed. And it's crazy because now we have CBD and all these different things, and we're realizing the healing benefits. But I just think the psychological trauma and everything that was kind of placed on mostly Black people during that time, it's just a lot, it was a lot. And so when I think about that, I just think at that point, you can only help but to be compassionate and be grateful for your life and the time in which you're in right now. I think we've also have the rise where we are really obsessed with youth. It kind of gives a little bit of pedophilia, which is crazy because Balenciaga comes out with this whole thing, right? But I think that we have to kind of be mindful of that. Because it's a real thing. So anyway, be mindful. But moving forward, today was really crazy. I mean, I just literally woke up and it was raining. I love when the weather changes, when it rains, when it's sunny out. I just have I'm very connected in that way. Okay. Hello. And for me, it's just I feel so much on these days. And so I was just thinking about my dad and my life and all these different things. I've got some huge decisions to make coming into next year about where to go. Of course, I'm always prayed up. So I'm not trying to, over worry myself and be like overworked, just because I know that God's guiding me. But it's more so just like, okay, there are a lot of things that I'm kind of like up against, a lot of things I'm trying to figure out. And I had an opportunity to meet with someone that was a prominent figure in Cincinnati, and it just came out of the blue. And I wanted to get on here and share that because something else amazing happened today. I remember, listen, let me just say this, you guys, if you pay attention to your life, it's true. Life is always speaking to you. And I know for some of my people, like religion sometimes has us in a chokehold. I think especially today, a lot of people are just not really tapped in with God and they're more so tapped into religion. And I think you just have to be mindful of that. God gave us the Bible to keep his commandments in regards to like how we should treat one another, how we should be loving, how we should be kind, how we should be caring, and how we should realize that like there is redemption, in our mistakes. And I think truly like it's just a testament of love. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in like the stories, we get so caught up in the literature that we don't really take the time to like apply what it is that God is telling us to do. And I noticed that for like everyone on TikTok and like a lot of people, a lot of young Christians, they're really falling into the folds of like religion. You have to understand that like a lot of times religion is kind of like without God. And if I say spirituality, your first thought is not God. Your first thought is not the Bible. And so you have to be really mindful of that. Like take the time to definitely cultivate a relationship with God without anything else. Like if we know God is omnipresent, if we know God is a spirit, you have to tap into that spirit. And it feels good. It feels like love. It's not black magic. It's not anything crazy like that. And y'all know, anybody who kind of fears like the spirituality aspects of Christ, you have to really be mindful of certain things. Like people talk about witchcraft and all this different stuff when it comes to spirituality. But one of the things that I've learned from myself was like, I Googled witchcraft and I was like, what is it? A lot of people are saying it's tarot. They're saying it's all these different things. And it's actually like black magic. And it was actually something that was founded within churches in religious settings. It's like this sacrificial thing where it's like they're really calling out to like evil spirits. Isn't that crazy? So if you're not doing any of that, you're not practicing witchcraft. If you're calling out to God, which is love, which is peace, which is this pure spirit, this pure energy, that's not witchcraft. So let's just be mindful of that. I just kind of want to free some of my people because I think religion has had many of us in a chokehold for a very long time. And when we think about our parents, we think about the people who have paid a price for us to be here today. I always consider generations, right? As generations come and go, we have to be advancing as a people. Like the future belongs to optimists. No, I'm kidding. That was like completely irrelevant. But seriously, we have to advance as a people. We have to make sure that we're growing and learning and we're taking the lessons from previous generations and we're pushing us forward. We're going forward. We're catapulting forward. We're making changes. We're gaining the lessons and we're doing it differently. And I think that sometimes if we're so caught up in religion, this is where you have like quote unquote lazy Christians. You're too far left, but I know that this is just like, it's something that's been on my heart. It's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but I just didn't really know the right words to say. And I wanted to make sure that I conveyed it in a way that was very touchy because, to be honest, everyone has a right to think on their own. I just know for myself, I know a lot of people who are bound to religion and they're really seeking that liberation that Christ promises. They're seeking that joy. They're seeking that peace. They're seeking God's promises of goodness and mercy. And so I just kind of wanted to share that insight for someone out there who may be seeking that, but they're not finding it in these religious constructs that are just very, they're very limiting in a lot of different ways, especially in regards to spirituality. So there's that. Thanks for coming to the TED Talk. And now as we move forward, I am going to go ahead and share a little bit of love and light for anyone who is just dealing with a lot as this year ends. One of the things that I'm coming to terms with is just so much that I cannot control. I think when you're on your healing journey, you're recognizing certain things, you're moving forward, you're growing, you're developing. I know for myself, it's just one of those things to where I feel like it's so important to just be mindful of the fact that like you can't bring everyone with you. And not from like a selfish perspective, but more so just like recognizing that like you really cannot change the lives of anyone who doesn't want to change. You cannot bring everyone along on the journey. Like some stuff is just for you. And, I think my biggest hiccup has been actually trying to save my parents and like teach them certain things. But you just kind of have to realize like the generations change. And so new information is available. And to be honest, we really shouldn't seek to change them. seek to change them, because I think that every generation has something very valuable to add and to bring in and just create like this beautiful legacy of lineage and just like familial ancestry. So I don't think that we should try to change them. I think that we should just kind of like embrace and try to find a way to coexist where there's like mutual respect. I think that's that's kind of where I am with like my family and my parents, is more so like bridging the gap in between that. But I sit here today and I think about just how hard this year has been, picking back up where we left off. And I realized just the miracles and the wonders and the beautiful things that have happened this year, in spite of all of the crazy stuff that's happened this year. And I'm just so grateful. And, you know, I really believe in seasons of rest. I believe in just like taking the time to just like sit and process your feelings, like sit with your soft side, sit with your emotions. Like, okay, like forget the whole feminine masculine, like sit with your emotions. Okay. Feel what you're feeling, process it, grieve it, mourn. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to mourn. And grief doesn't always have to necessarily be like at a funeral. You know, sometimes grieving is like grieving past experiences and just like making peace with so much. Because I feel like for myself, because I've taken this season to rest and like just kind of be still and just like be in solitude and process my emotions, I have such a greater sense of like gratitude for everything that has happened at this point in my life. I have such a profound sense of like peace and everything that's happened at this point in my life, and I'm so grateful for that. And like I just wanted to come on and just kind of share that with you guys and let you know that it gets better. And like, it's true, life is always speaking to you. I remember like today something super miraculous happened, and it really came from like something I had seen months ago, but I didn't take the leap, right? I seen this post on Pinterest, which I thought was really good, you guys. I wish I could pull it up real quick. I may be able to, but anyways, I'm going to look for it. But I'm going to keep talking because like, I don't want to pause the video. I don't want to pause the podcast. But basically there was this post, and let me see where it's at, because I actually have it. It's me. I'm going to pause this and then I'm going to come back with the post. So like, sincerely, I really tried to look for the post, you guys. I did not find it. I have so many posts on Pinterest. You guys should definitely follow me. Let me see. What is my Pinterest? Yeah, it's just Jalen Leslie. I'm pretty sure that's how Pinterest works. I don't think that there's like any other name. Like, I don't think I have like a different username or anything. Let me see, public profile. Yeah, okay. So, actually my username is GilbertJalen77, but I'm about to change that. So yeah, just follow me. It's Jalen Leslie Wrights. I'm literally typing it in right now. But basically the post said, be like a lion, right? Like sit and wait for opportunities and then go for it, and then like rest and like chill out. And like, basically that's something that I've really learned like this year. I feel like I was the type of person to always just be on the go, always working. And I got to a point where I realized like I was working so much, I wasn't really sure if I was doing anything that was meaningful. Like, I really lost sight of like why I was working so hard. And like, I drove myself literally crazy. Like, I literally was in a whole psychosis. Like, it was crazy, you know, just from working so hard. And, you know, one of the things about like just like working so much is that if you're not taking care of yourself, and if you're constantly working and you're not really going in like any said direction, this is a waste of time. You know, like you're working so hard and like you're not really getting anywhere because the work you're doing is meaningless. At the time that year that I saw like an earlier opportunity, I think my recipe moving forward is just like patience and faith. Like, I really do believe in that, because I just think that like, if you're just constantly moving, you're constantly grinding, you're not really creating space for God to talk to you. You're not creating space for like things to happen. And I don't know. I just feel like for myself, I finally get it now. Like, it took a minute to get here, but like I'm here and I'm very grateful for that. Sure to always sow your seeds and just make sure that, you know, when it comes to what it is that you want, like you're just paying attention. And I think it's something said about writing things down. Y'all know I'm a writer. Okay. Your girl's a writer. I'm always encouraging you guys to write things down and keep your visions at the forefront. Like, I wrote my goals down today, and I'm sorry, not today. I wrote them down like a couple of days ago, maybe like earlier this week. Yeah, that was Monday, because I was super stoked about the week. And then I literally just started to review them every day. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know where we're headed. I know where we're going. And I wrote down like 3 to 10, but really like 1 to 10. Because honestly, I knew what I wanted to do next year. And I set smart goals. Like, I set really smart goals. And I really do believe that like, if you just put that faith on it and you put forth your best effort, like God will meet you halfway. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that when opportunities arise, just make sure that it's an opportunity that aligns with what it is that you want. And sometimes we don't know, and that's okay to kind of take a step back and be like, you know what, I don't know the next steps. And you have to have faith. Make sure you keep your vision at the forefront. And if you're working so hard, but you're not really doing work that's meaningful, it doesn't matter. I really do believe now in like giving a lot to one thing versus like giving bits and pieces of myself to other things. Like, of course, sow your seeds. Like, I'm not saying don't sow your seeds, but definitely be mindful of like what you're sowing, and like, are you watering your harvest? Are you watering, the things that it sprouted from this year? And so I'm going to go because, I'm actually recording at a very inappropriate and slightly inconvenient time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode, and I'm wishing you guys the best. Seriously, like, I'm rooting for everyone who listens to this podcast episode, and it gets better. It really does. I really believe that. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace.